Hello and welcome back to the OGA closed calls for North America. I'm set up, joined once again by the beautiful Captain Fluke.
Wow, what a marvelous way to wrap up, which could be the end of the evening. Who knows? We're in a best-of-3 scenario, and we've obviously still got potentially 2 maps ahead of us. However, the prognosis, Doctor, doesn't look too great. 7-3 in the favor of SSG on Bank, and we're heading to Clubhouse, a very good map in their map pool.
Yeah, this is not looking good at all. And we'll see exactly how it is going to be moving through for Clubhouse, but things are looking really good for Space Station here.
Well, the bans are starting to come out now, and Maverick is going to be the first off the table. I guess we'll see how this kind of, progresses, because as we said, Adventure Force, yes, they're coming to a tough map here, sure, but at the same time, I think plucky is a good word for them. They repeatedly find themselves in these situations where they can find frags and find bodies and find the point, and a lot of teams have no idea how they've done it, and that they keep doing it.
So Jekyll will get banned out, and Echo will be banned out as well. And we Adventure Force who's left with the last ban here. So far, some pretty standard bans other than the Jackal ban again. We've had some weird Jackal bans. I can't understand this fixation on the Jackal ban. So we'll see Adventure Force with a final ban here and see exactly what they want to be bringing in. I'm gonna guess probably a Mirror or maybe a Maestro. Oh, there we go. It's gonna be Maestro.
There you go. Get him out of here.
This could make things very attacker-sided right now, because think about it, you have Capitao, you have Habana, you have Thermite all up, and you have Echo and Maestro removed off the board. So what is going on in this chat?
Let's just let. I think chat is going to slow down in a second as we get into the game. But either way, we're going to start off visiting the church. Now, SSG is starting on the attack. This could potentially play into the favor of Adventure Force. They have a little bit more ground room and a little bit more positioning to be able to make something from this. Obviously, Jackal is off the board from the sides of SSG, and I think that Warden is going to change to a Cavera. I don't know what gives me that impression, though.
You mean the fact that he teased it for a very, very long time now, and that Jackal is also banned?
How do I know this? How do I know that this is going to happen?
Crazy. Well, it's going to be Cryogen who does pick up the Cavera as we go down to a Church and Arsenal room defense, surprisingly, to start with. I really thought that with the bans we would go upstairs first, but always good to keep you on toes.
Yeah, and I think that's the kind of breakdown of it as well, is because obviously, as we generally see, Maverick is off the table pretty consistently at this point, but you do still have the option of double hard destruction, which you're going to see a lot against this point. Too much space, too many walls, too many hatches, blah, 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 too many things. We've also already obviously seen a Clubhouse today, and it became this moment where teams would find their way inside point very, very quickly, because, well, they would get a bit creative with it, and it even stumped EG quite a few times with the pace that Shrug could find themselves already putting pressure from dirt, from blue side, from the kind of kitchen hatches, and that's what the joy of double hard destruction brings you, because it gives you malleability against what are exceptionally wide points.
So
attackers are moving out to locate.
We'll have a look at how it's exactly going to go down, but it should be a very early roam coming up for Adventure Force, but I feel like they should have learned earlier on about, what should have happened, right? When they went for that early roam on Bank and they just immediately got wiped out. This is not something that you should be too happy with. The SSG have had pretty phenomenal droning throws so far. They will be able to drone that out, of course, and Suzaku will go down already to Alec Fultz.
Well, Fultz gets the opening frag there, and I guess we'll see if they can kind of keep collapsing on it. I
Throws
think,
roaming as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of roam going on, and Breezy suffers a huge amount of damage playing around the storage stairs, but is otherwise in a position where he can rotate away if need be. In the meantime, well, there is Throw suffering a Claymore from a jump out, thinking nade. Thinks with his Claymores too, and manages to find one of the aggressive members of Adventure Force. Now, they still obviously have a Cavera out and about and causing a problem, but with Breezy injured and the only body potentially down on the point being Lesion, I guess we'll see what SSG do with this information.
Well, that's exactly what we're going to do with it. Fultz is going to take Cryogen down and off the board, and it's all down to Breezy and Zest to try and bring this in. Zest sorry, Breezy could be playing very aggressively here up onto the main stairs. Just grab one of the drones through a Mozzie, but the second one will go through successfully. So Zest just filled Blue up with Legion Mines, and should be able to play this quite aggressively, honestly. But 2v5 situation not looking too good at all for Adventure Force moving forward. Still got loads of time left for SSG.
Well, they hear more hatches be blown above them, and then this is just a moment of how much space do they have to move in around before it gets completely collapsed by SSG. The Legion, oh, well, the Mozzie even has hopped aggressively as the Legion closes down on Moto, and looked like he was going to rotate slightly towards the staircases, but just going to hold Moto close, and not as close as Breezy is trying to hold this kitchen hatch, waiting, unfortunately, for that as they swing around to get the drop, and it's a 5-1. With Zest having a lot left to do.
Yeah, it's all going to be Zest here in a 1v5. They seem to know where he is as well. On top of that, as the diffuser will go down successfully. Space Station holding down everything they can. They seem to have actually completely abandoned the upstairs, but it's not going to matter, as Space Station will take round number 1 flawless with Thinking Aid, finding that exit frag of the Zest. And I think, you know, Adventure Force with a very heavy roam feel like they should have learned their lesson from Bank.
I mean, they took a gamble, took a risk, and unfortunately it didn't quite pay off. But at the same time, the first time they did the heavy roam and it didn't work, the next round they instead went to a more closed-off defense and it worked very well. So they've obviously got the sign that they have learnt from these kind of movements, learnt from those kind of slip-ups, and are able to find some creativity back in how they bring their defense to fight the opponents they're up against. I think it's one of the things that you often see about Adventure Force is the games that they play and the people they matched up with in CL said that they learnt stuff so quickly and were able to just kind of digest the information and make it work for their favor.
Well, hopefully we see a little bit more adaptation coming out from Adventure Force here, as they'll again go down to a Church and also room defense, but this time we see the Valkyrie coming out from Suzaku rather than the Pulse. I would have thought the Pulse is a little bit more favored here, but we do see the Kayad being brought here as well. So, you know, I like the Kayad here. The Kayad, the Kayad.
Yeah, he's good at keeping control of the hatches. Obviously, you're assuming they're going to try and bring something to crack through them anyway, but at least make them work a little bit for the utility, because say if they are going to be taking those hatches, if you know they like to get control of Moto and Kitchen and then potentially go for the church side or force themselves into Kitchen, you can at least make them use 2 Thatcher grenades across 2 of those hatches. And that limits what they can then do when they find their way, and it almost limits them to have to kind of brute force Kitchen, because Church becomes a very tight spot with the possibility of then obviously cover from the side or cover from close corners or the impact or whatever else you want to throw at the protective wall of that Church. You have options if you've taken some Thatchers off first.
Ooh, I like that Valkyrie count coming out from Suzaku there. Just in the bit of a cupboard there. As I see Throw is going to move into Secret and see what he can do. He's actually going to go for a very aggressive peek already so early on. Let's see if SSG can shut him down as they'll begin their droning upstairs as well. With their pre-placed drones moving in. No impact trick is set up actually because Adventure Force don't actually have many impacts. They only have cryogens brought the impacts, and it's going to be Zest who's actually brought the C4. So they've actually got 2 C4s up on the board.
Well, I guess they're going to try and aggressively defend these hatches because they've seen SSG push it before. As I said, they're a team that is known for adapting and learning well. It's like the Terminator in a way. It kind of picks apart what's gone wrong and can adapt and find a way to then destroy you and pick you apart body part by body part. But other evil androids are available if you need them.
I've met Lycan, and he does look like the Terminator. It is true. So
I haven't, so I'm just going to have to trust you on that.
I'm definitely with that kind of movement. So we'll see Thatchers are going to go down onto the kitchen hatch, and with no impact tricking, SSG are just going to be absolutely fine to open that up, because the other Electric Claw is, of course, being deployed in dirt as well. But it's going to be Thinking Aid who ticks things off with a kill onto Suzaku already. That's 1 Nitro off the board. Looking very, very good for SSG so far. And they're going to know there's 2 people in dirt as well. I'm not sure what this play is for Adventure Force. Oh, well, there we go. Thank God.
Yeah, he's found his way back round, and they've at least managed to hold some solidity down towards the point. They've left Blue with some options of rotation, but otherwise it's a soft wall, and Neighbors can start droning ahead and find their way a little bit closer. Rampy is looking for a frag grenade kill here against the body, and does find it. Breezy is blown into next week, and now it's a matter of just I guess, picking apart more and more bodies. And here's the second attempt at a grenade kill, and it doesn't quite have the same effect. Kaid is standing on a little bit of health. No, in fact, he's downed.
Throw should be able to revive him here, though. He's pretty safe to do so. Looks like he's going to try and attempt to do it. And there we go. Zest is going to get picked back up. Canadian's going to try to plant the diffuser down in the backside of Armory, and they should be pretty safe to do this, honestly. And yeah, there's absolutely no one to contest them from Adventure Force. And those drones are going to be coming out as well. Thinking Nade just hiding behind this body. He's going to go for the prone angle. Not able to pick anyone up. However, he's going to call it out that someone did indeed cross. It's going to be down to Throw to try and bring this in a 1v5. It's not looking likely right now. He's pushing through onto main stairs to see if there's anyone there. We've got people playing the hatch, but it's going to be the Habana of Bosco who closes it out. And Space Station will take round number 2 yet again flawlessly.
2 plants, 2 flawlesses, and well, 2 rounds of kind of a lot of control. And you've got to think, well, do we try something else from the side of Adventure Force? Potentially rotate up to Cash, maybe a Gym hold again to take it a little bit more by surprise, because they might expect Cash. No, they're going to opt for at least changing the point. I think that's a fair decision when you have nothing on the board right now.
This is not looking good for Adventure Force whatsoever. And we did say that SSG were going to be a lot more dominant here on Club, and that Adventure Force did really need to take bank, and they need to send this to Decider, but yeah, this is just going to be painful, I think, to watch. Just, you know, well, there's still hope. Adventure Force, I mean, this is also like one of those bread and butter maps, as we say.
Yeah.
Border and Clubhouse, to an extent Consulate as well. They're kind of maps that are simple, and most teams entering into comp will learn them all first, especially Clubhouse these days. I think most teams, you know, there's still creative stuff you can do in Clubhouse, and there's still undiscovered things, I'm sure. Yeah, but it's still just one of those maps where a lot of teams will be very, very comfortable going here. So hopefully for Adventure Force, there is like something going on for them here, and they should be able to gain some rounds upon the board.
Yeah, it's a map that's been well stretched, well rehearsed, and well repeated, and we kind of see it from a lot of different teams. And you know, it's the kind of thing about it is, yes, we do occasionally see some creativity. We've seen some pretty interesting top floor holds and devotion to utilizing quick rotations across the hatches, which I think Rogue were the team that were bringing last time we saw some of that kind of level of play. And yeah, there's options, sure, but it has been, it's been run a lot. It's generally standard firefights, and it comes down to these moments of, well, how well can you attack it more than anything? Because you generally know how the defense is often going to set up, and in terms of operators, there's always the 1 or 2 potential of roamers, but attacks, that's what you got to nail on this map.
You definitely do. We'll have a look at what SSG want to do with their attacks, and yeah, this is a very scary lineup to be bringing to. So we'll have a look how that's going to be going down, as well as this Capital on the board. I think, like, I thought this was going to be very attacker-sided just because of the bans. Like, Maestro and Echo both off the board. Most people are not going to be bringing Mirror here. We haven't seen Adventure Force bring Mirror here at all. So you don't have any of your, like, big intel ops up on the board, but you do have Capital, you do have Thermite, you do have Thatcher, you do have Habana, you have everything that you need if you're SSG to get everything open.
Well, Bandit tried the trick, but couldn't quite get the magic to work as they pull away and the wall falls as expected. Really, Cryo is going to very aggressively try and hold this, but as the only body in Garage, he's still got a lot of other ground to pay attention to as well, and that's going to get tougher and tougher to keep a kind of eye upon. In the meantime, they're going to try and use the Habana to open up the cross hold here on the top of Garage, and they're just going to see if they can get rid of the charges first. Fultz is the one that's going to apply the counter pressure towards the Jaeger up top, and in the meantime, you can see the members of Adventure Force are desperately trying to find a rotate. However, too little too late, as Cryo has taken out the board, and they now have that Garage control.
Yeah, and things are going very, very well for SSG. All of a sudden, Throw is going to be very, very lit up, and it is going to get eliminated. Sorry, no, it's going to be Fultz who takes Suzaku off the board. And Throw is still playing this very aggressively up onto Secret Stairs. Fultz does know he's there and takes him out. That's a triple kill for Fultz on the round, as it's all down to Breezy and Zest to try and bring this in. Zest is actually roaming right now, so it's only Breezy up on the site. Smoke is going to go out, but it's not going to be found just yet. It goes under the smoke as well from Breezy. It's going to allow him to play a little bit more aggressively, but people on those long repels, it's a very hard angle to contest right now, but Zest does find Fultz, and that's a little bit glimmer of hope.
Well, Breezy's trying to find the long angles with a gun that can be accurate, but got to be very, very skilled to make it hit at that kind of range. And with the dead wall open on his 90 side corner, it's making it very, very tough to keep this level of control. The Capitao bolt pushes him back, and the bullets don't make the journey any easier. Almost finds one, but when a plant is going down in the post-plant situation, and you've just opened up a gateway to hell, well, that's how it gets responded. In the meantime, Zest finds a second and a third for his troubles. Great swing against Bosco underneath, but they've still got to get this diffuser down, and with 10 seconds, they've got to stick it. Trying to find where it is. They need the pings and the information. Shoots so bitterly close to being able to find it just based on defaults and game skill and sense alone, but unfortunately couldn't quite find the bullets to land. Now in a post-plant situation, and has a lot to do. The shakes are coming, and they're going to have to try and power this dock to glory.
This is actually very, very winnable for Zest right now. He does see if there's any Claymore out here. He's going to try and deal with it. But no, not going to happen just yet. He's going to have to be forced up onto the garage rafters and see what he can do from this side. Rampy has managed to move outside instead, outside of the server wall, but that timer is ticking down. Zest needs to move in and needs to get a frag here if he wants to bring this in. Rampy with the prone angle as well, and he's going to be able to find him easy as that. Zest goes down, a great attempt from him, but Space Station will still take the round, and they are flawless right now on Clubhouse.
Yeah, and the fact is that for him to win that, would have had to be an ace and a defuse. And that kind of shows that, yeah, it came down to a 2 versus 1, but he's the only person to actually put bodies down on the side. And it gives me a little bit of flashbacks to the first time we saw SSG in this tournament, where at the turn of the half, there was only one player on the other team that had managed to get kills. You know, it's one of those situations where it's hard to run against a team that is this coordinated and this good on a map. And you kind of wonder when teams define maps.
I agree with your point, and I think that is a big part of it. But I think, like, just looking at I feel like Adventure Force signed their death warrant by banning out the Maestro. I get why they did it, because of Fultz was putting a lot of bodies on the table with the Maestro during the last map. So I kind of do understand it in that way. But just with the bans, I just think this has made it insanely, like, this is probably the most attacker-sided Clubhouse I've seen in a while. We've gone to bar. This is how far we've got now. And I think, honestly, like, this may seem to, like, a bunch of people like, okay, they're just throwing, but they're not. I don't think they are. I think that this is actually one of the sites, right? So, like, every other site on Clubhouse completely depends upon opening walls up. And all of the bans on Clubhouse normally move around that kind of mentality, right? Yeah. But this is being so attack-sided because it's going to be so easy for all the walls to get opened up. It's very rare you see Capitao up, you see Thermite up, you see Thatcher up, and you see Habana up. All those 4 operators up, those are very rare to see on the attack. And yeah, I just feel like this would be very attack-sided. So I feel like this is the only point which doesn't completely depend upon walls getting opened up.
It's also the idea of trying to take SSG somewhere they don't expect. As we said in the previous map, some of the times when SSG struggles is when they depend on their collapse coming towards the dying throws of a round. And even in the previous round...
Okay.
Even in the previous round, we saw it come down to the final 10 seconds on a plant. And if they'd been able to have a little bit more information...
Oh!
Wow!
Cryogen! What? Through the wall! He's going to find Thinking Nade, and he finds Rampy as well. That's a huge amount of utility already off the board. That is great picks early on from Cryogen, and he finds a drone.
Well, that's the extended barrel thrust, bringing it to the game fight. But Zaku is trying to find a similar kind of action here, and that's the thing. They're trying to throw SSG off. And Breezy shoots Fultz and then double taps and then does another 50 taps there to try and get the ghost of Fultz as well.
SSG is just falling apart. They can't deal with the bar attack. It's all gone wrong, but Canadian does find Cryogen. There's the start of the clutch potentially here for Bosco and Canadian to try and make it work. It is a 2v4 situation. Adventure Force still looking very, very strong right now, especially with all the control that they still have. This SSG push purely has to come from Strip right now.
Well, they're listening to the fun music and trying to find a way to make it work. Still have the diffuser, obviously, still have 2 bodies and have the potential to at least put some more uncomfortable angles against the defenders left. Finds throw inside the bathroom and puts the body count as a difference of just 1. but they've still got to hop in. They've still got to find a way onto the point, and Canadian has found at least a little bit of that, but they need some more safety and solace before they even begin to start cracking further. And the long angle that's being held and threatened by the two French ACOGs on the far side isn't making any of that easy.
And Canadian has managed to find his way all the way onto the pool table, and loads of drones are going to continue to come out from Bosco, making sure that his hallway is indeed secure. Oh no! Oh, Canadian just walked straight into the frost trap, gets ticked up by Breezy. It's all down to Bosco in a 1v3. He's got 3 flashbangs still remaining. And oh god, this is just a disaster. As Bosco, the only one left remaining on the board for Space Station. You just see one, however, gets taken off the board. And there we go, it's all going to be Adventure Force, as they actually just won a bar defense. I mean,
bar defense.
I kind of take back about what I said earlier at the start of the round about it's not about opening walls on this particular site. It kind of can be with the way that they did that take, where they opened up strip wall, and also where they tried to push onto that second wall as well, but Canadian's exothermic charge got impact tricked, and then Bosco, his first X-Carriers, was trying to get impact tricked, but I actually like the way he plays that, right? So he puts the first set of X-Carriers on, and he waits for them to get to that point where they're about to detonate, and then he puts the second set on, making sure that there's no like Habana trap there going on, where it's like kind of glitchy sometimes, where he explodes the other Habanas, but also making sure that he can't impact trick at all.
Well, Cryo was doubling down on the frost. It worked, and that's the first frost trap we've seen actually go off. For a couple of frost trap picks, actually, but it's the a couple of frosts picked. None of the traps have ever gone off against a team with, as it was put by Zizaku, the best drone economy in NA. To suffer to that, hey, if anyone can pull it off, it's Adventure Force. But they do manage to get the first frost trap kill out of everything so far. Now they're going to head up to the gym. They're going to try and hold the point that they haven't actually touched yet, and I guess see if they can make it work off the back of...
No hard breach denial, but they have brought a mirror. I actually don't mind this that much. Like, people look at Adventure Force and like, oh, they're just memeing, but they've still done decently throughout Challenge League. Like, okay, at the last half of the season they fell off, but these are all still like experienced comp players that do actually know what's going on in the game. I don't actually mind this, because think about it this way, right? You're not going to successfully ban a trick. Like, no matter what you do, it is just not going to happen. So don't even try and do it at all. And going to gym makes a lot of sense, because it's the only site that is really affected by a mirror pick.
Curious to see if Cryo is as successful. Isn't going to hold on for as long as he did previously. Suzaku on a deep roam as Rook. And picking Rook over Doc. Who's got the better French ACOG?
It tends to be Doc, doesn't it?
He has the ability, especially if you're doing a deep roam, to heal yourself.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe he just wanted everyone to feel a little bit nicer as we head into the warmer weather and get the potential to be picked up. But pickups are rare in comp, especially against a team where they can set themselves up for trades.
Oh
there
my God.
A long bit of bait there, and they cannot capitalize on the frost that is dancing in logistics, like something that they've seen. One person, there you go, everybody's got their armor now, and Rook doesn't have to kill any of the teammates, as is tradition.
That's his tradition, yeah.
360, trying to catch the body out the window there, with a very clean 360.
Yeah. True. Oh, Rampy. Did he mean? No, okay.
No, he didn't.
That's unfortunate. So he's going to be trying to open up this. Might get fragged here, actually, but no. He's going to be taking both of those castles straight off the board. That's a good select pick from Rampy. Pulse has made his way into cash. They've completely abandoned that cash side, which I didn't expect Adventure Force to try and do there. But also, Fultz has now opened up that sight line all the way into Jim from where he is, so he should be able to shut down any kind of roamers around that area. Not let's say roamers, like aggressive players.
Yeah. Well, Suzaku is still adventuring through the map as best as he can, has found his way into the strip club. Going to see if he can get a potential run out here from the side. He's had plenty of time as he dances his way across the stage to the music, and now he's just got a little bit of support to offer to his teammates. Throw! One taps the castle and opens it out for freedom, and now, well, finds Rampy in and amongst it as well. Opens up the frag in the favour of Adventure Force, and now it's just seeing if they can capitalize upon it. Well, fortunately not, as Fultz has found his way into logistics, and the close down is coming from Bosco on the opposite side, drops Cryo. They are breaking onto the side of point. As Zaku has found his way back through strip and is underneath the window, waiting for the jump in, but Breezy's trying to hold down logistics and construction side as best as he can. There's a second frost trap.
Are you kidding me? How is this working? I don't even know, but there we go. Frost Trap is going to get broken apart, but Bosco gets back up on the board. It's hold down to Breezy on the site, as flashbangs are going to continue to go down. Nitro is going to go out, but it gets shot again. SSG is so good at doing that, but Breezy is going to find Bosco. It's now a 3v3, but it's going to be a heavy retake coming up from Adventure Force to try and bring this in. Breezy desperately trying to fight with the guy on Island here. That's Zaku and Zest. So Beverly returns to site, but Canadian from Island finds Zest. Zaku trying to fight from Jim, but gets found himself. It's all down to Breezy. Does find Canadian Island, so he's still got a bit of work to do, but this is definitely clutchable for him. But no, the cross angle's been set up, and SSG will take round number 5. If only Adventure Force could go back to bar.
I know. It's such a shame that we can't see a second Adventure Force bar, but I'm curious if we're going to see an SSG bar. And I'm curious if we're going to see an SSG Frost from Canadian to try and, like...
Bit of a revenge, yeah.
Yeah, get some Canadian revenge there. Church and Arsenal Room is going to be the final hold that they opt for instead. Seen it twice, both flawless. What are you going to change this time?
The last time I saw a Frost that was this effective was Challenger League Season 8, Minor Esports versus, I want to say, Bittersweet or Disrupt, when Gotcha was still on that roster. And I think Gotcha fell into a Frost Trap pretty much every single round.
Cryo, that's not allowed.
There we go.
Thank you, Cryo. Bringing the alibi from the Cav 6th pick. Let's see what they can make it, if they can find a second bit of buffer before they head to a defense that, as you said, yes, it's missing a Maestro and it's missing an Echo, but it's also SSG in the clubhouse.
So, round number 6 getting underway, and we'll have a look exactly how this is going to be played out. This, of course, is going to be the final defense for Adventure Force, and so far, this downstairs has been a complete disaster for them. I honestly think they'd probably be better going to Jim, because that was a much closer defense than either of these have been. These have been both flawless rounds from SSG. This is just such a hard defense with the operator bans that have gone down. Like, if you look at the operator bans for the attack, what does the Maverick actually do for you here if there is no Thatcher ban? Like, I just... The attackers have everything, utility-wise, that they would possibly need in the world, and it is just... It's just been a disaster. And we said about pretty much every single time that we've seen these pro teams go up against tier 2 and tier 3 teams. Every time they've been allowed to have all of their utility up, when they go for their execute, it's been flawless.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's just, you know, they just set themselves up in this position, in this style, where they're happy to push this the way they want. Puts some bullets into the body of Rampy, but only enough to, well, shake the man, and he's still comfortable to find his way through onto bar. And that buck has been pretty big operator, so if that had been a little bit more damage, that could have been a very, very tough spot for SSG. In the meantime, Cryo is playing, well, was playing aggressively under Oil Pit, heard the drone, and decided to back away from the fight. Rampy still looks a little bit scared and is trying to drown his sorrows in behind the bar side, as Throw is ready to kind of double down on where we've previously saw the Legion put bullets towards them, but in the meantime, here comes that crash and collapse and the smash bang wallop of SSG, breaking open everything they need above.
So, moving to round number 6, just about halfway in now, and Space Station have pretty much all the control that they should need so far to start off their execute. It's got to be about kind of play they are going to go for here, but we've seen pretty consistent arm retakes come out from them, and it's been very, very successful for them so far. So, the thermite charges have gone down from Canadian. He's going to be opening up Moto hatch as well, it looks like. Potentially another arm retake coming out from them, and it looks like kind of a bit of that is going through now as Rampy starting to open it all up and making sure that no one can impact trick his precious X-Kairos.
Well, with a minute on, there is so much time, and the drones are just finding the bodies. It's almost like we are currently watching the festival theme, the Halloween game mode, and we are seeing the monster hunters try and shut down the monsters.
Are you calling Adventure Force monsters?
To SSG, yes.
Ah, okay.
Because they keep finding these kills and these frags in these moments, and Frost is on the board.
Sure, yeah, I can go with that. I can go with that. We'll see. Thinking Nate is going to be pushing down onto the bottom of main stairs and seeing what kind of control he can get there as well. Fultz has moved on to Secret and see if anyone's going to creep up there. But no, he actually might miss. I think it's Cryogen right below him, but no, he's going to know there's someone there. And it's going to be Suzaku, but no, he's going to get taken down. Oh my god, what a great shot from Suzaku. And Fultz is going to go down, thinking Nate goes down as well. And it's like Adventure Force has been wizened up to what the push actually is from Space Station here. Is Canadian going to drop down all the way through. He's going to try and plant into back of Armory, but no, Suzaku's going to find him out. It's all down to Rampy and above, but no, Adventure Force is going to take round number 6. So actually, you know, 4-2 scoreline. It's not looking terrible for Adventure Force.
There's a lot that they can do with this. They found themselves in a nice position there. They've been able to get the upswing on the momentum as well because, well, they've put themselves on the front foot. They're in a position where they're comfortable, they're confident, they're taking bodies, and, you know, this is something that you can utilize and roll with on your attacks. Yes, what we saw from the defense previously from SSG, they took 4 against it on Bank. And then from that point onwards, it was kind of part of the course. But I guess we'll see how they, you know, figure themselves out on this attack. Because as we see Suzaku on the Ashe, already he's finding himself in these tight situations.
What is this lineup right now?
Yeah, the Thatcher swapped out 1 Hard Destruction and a Ying.
We have no Capital. We have no Thermite coming out. This is...
Maybe Smokes.
A very weird lineup coming out from Adventure Force. Potentially it's a rush lineup because you do have the Ying and you do have the Dokebi. But yeah, you know, potentially Smokes coming out from the Dokebi. That would
Attackers need to locate
make a bit of sense. Well, I mean, SSG's... I actually like SSG's lineup now thinking about it because it looks like they're going to go for a pretty heavy roam with the Vigil, and they've got the Mute and the Mozzie to support that. Something that Adventure Force weren't doing when they were trying to heavy roam is they weren't trying to deny the roam game, the drone game, sorry, of Space Station. So I really do like a Mute Mozzie combo. Maybe not so much on Clubhouse, but it's been done. Can we see where the castles are going down potentially?
10 seconds remaining.
The very top floor. So this is what we saw from Rogue, and we saw a little bit of it from SSG as well when they played their previous defenses before. So they set up really heavy on the top floor, and then they kind of raindrop trickled their way back towards the point. They have Canadian Rome on the Vigil in the middle, and he got caught a couple of times by Benji, I think it might have been. No, because they didn't play each other. They got caught a couple of times previously on the rotate.
Right,
but they throw a lot on this top floor, and they kind of let it fall back, and the amount of time that it can eat, it was mixed successes, really. But the thing about it is they would leave the attackers, yes, they get 1 or 2, maybe 3 of these roamers, but then they've still got 30, 40 seconds to actually finish the job.
I definitely like this kind of specialized strategy coming out from Space Station because you can't let Adventure Force come down on you with that heavy momentum. You've got to start taking it off the board early on, and Thinking Nade's going to do exactly that. He's going to take 1 off the board already, the Dokebi off the board. None of those smokes, frags, or logic bombs going to be brought to bear, no matter what she brought in a secondary gadget slot. Breezy going to be pushing through into the bathroom, as well as Thro's going to try and make his way down secret stairs, it looks like. He's confirmed there is no one in blue right now.
Well, he spots the Legion. He's just going to swing and aggressively go against it, and Legion does the same decision, and it turns into a crazy little fragging match. But Throw is in point, putting bullets towards someone else. And at this point, he's on a fraction of health, but so is Nade and Fultz. The Ying goes out over the top. Zest is trying to put as much pressure on the man behind the first box as he can, but they need a little bit more support. He's hit in the corner, and he's shot down as he approaches the man hiding. Canadian on a triple for the round so far, and it is suddenly all down to Breezy with the diffuser. If that might have been a little bit closer, they might have been able to make something of that.
Absolute slaughter coming out from Space Station. Adventure Force seemed a bit lost about that kind of setup going on, and honestly, do not blame them at all. That was a very complicated setup coming out from Space Station, and it requires a bit more kind of cohesion coming out from Adventure Force to be able to take that down, especially when it's kind of like so surprising out there. But we'll see round break getting underway, and we'll see what Avenged Force wants to do on their next attack. Almost actually like really well played by them to like get into the site very, very quickly. Potentially, if Habana had been supporting them, might have been a bit better. But well, we'll see what Adventure Force have in stake for us this time.
Potentially a blitz. Suzaku was flaunting with the idea, but is actually locked in on the Twitch instead. Canadian baiting potentially out the gym side with the castle pick towards the Legion instead. So maybe trying to, I guess, pull something away from the sides of Adventure Force, but in the meantime, there's not really anything that you would massively change there. If they were thinking they were pushing gym, they've already got the sledge. They don't really need anything too much further beyond that. They're bringing the hard destruction, they're bringing the balance of what they need. The one thing that I guess you could say is kind of missing here is potentially, obviously Capitão's off the board for them for some reason the past 2 rounds. They've also not bought the Thatcher, they've opted for the Twitch instead, which is, it's kind of like a riskier and rewardier potential here. Because you know that they've got the Bandit and the Kaid up on the board when you see it. They're only going to be able to sick pick off one of those, so if you want to get through any of these top walls, you're going to have to try and take those electronics down. And you're kind of leaving yourself a little bit limited.
10 seconds remaining.
So, let's have a look how a space station are going to be going down with this. And what they want to do here, but pretty heavy impact tricking coming out from, sorry, bandit tricking coming out from them, but actually it could be Fultz who goes for the spawn peak, but not able to find anything just yet. I thought Fultz would stay down here and he would kind of like Kaid trick up onto the garage wall.
Yeah, you see that done sometimes as well, especially when you're kind of doubling down on trying to hold that position, but when you also see the double alert tricks kind of refusal, you sometimes see an extension into construction. You see them try and hold against the logistics side, and especially even the way all the way across the top, they'll also put bodies, maybe 1 or 2, inside the space around gym and bedroom. But it seems like they instead want to try and go a little bit more solid around that entire eastern side and take control of garage as well. The great grenading there is able to drop some of the charges against the wall, but the follow-up with only the thermite on the board means, well, how else are you going to play this at this point?
We should have roaming coming out from Bosco, I think, but oh, Cryogen is going to pick up that first kill onto Thinking Nade with a great nade of his own, as Fultz is going to trade it straight onto Throw, it looks like. As there we go. Nades are off the table here completely for Adventure Force, as Cryogen is out of them. This is now turning into a 4v4, but they managed to get that east wall open, of course, and now things are looking a little bit better. So Thinking Nade tried to go for the bandit trick, and yeah, he just got absolutely dumpstered for it.
The weird thing is, I think in this game, we've seen more people killed with frag grenades than we saw in the entire of the Jaegerless 10 frag grenade lineup earlier.
Yeah, that is true, actually.
So, I guess it just shows that. I wonder how many of these guys would be able to get with a Jaeger off the board and 10 grenades. But here comes the pressure against it. They just run straight in. They're aggressively going for the plant here. Everything is being popped at the same time. The yellow mines are causing disruption to, well, everybody. And they just charge on through. Dakabi finds one. Rampy finds Zest in the meantime. They still have a bit of control of red. They have a bit of control all the way around the point, and they've got to find a way of just stemming the tide. The big dancey firefight is happening from range, and Suzaku finds Rampy in the meantime with Fultz balancing it back out. And then Bosco putting it into the favor. Cryo deep behind enemy lines and giving away position with some big shots. Finds the head of Bosco, and he knows where the last one is. Could get a quad kill on this. Gonna swap to the SMG and swing. Catches the man on the reload, but doesn't quite catch him properly. Pulls away, pulls back, finds his way down towards the red stairs, and there is the head that pops up, and he can't quite find the kill. Fultz is in a very good position, and he capitalizes upon it, putting themselves on match, map, series, and day point.
Day point?
Yes, it will be the end of the day.
But
I don't know what time is it in America?
Can you win the day? What time is it in America?
Yeah.
Be 10:30, I think.
Okay.
In the Eastern.
It's still the same day. Not here. We've extended over a night now.
We have gone over that midnight mark here in Croatia. So we're going to be moving through. It's going to be match and series point, as you did mention, all for Space Station to win here. They just need one more defense out of these next 4 rounds, and they'll bring it in for themselves, and they'll secure a place in the semi-finals. That also will make them the first semi-finalists of NA.
Yeah, that's a big kind of prize to look at because you're setting yourself up one game away from LAN. You're in a really nice position, and then you're able to kind of sit back and watch the other teams, well, get a little bit more concerned in the remaining play days. And then I guess you'll work out who you're going to be up against, because there's still a bracket that we'll see in a little bit. Don't worry too much about that. However, what we can worry is the next point we're heading to, which is the gym bedroom, bringing the mirror, which we've already seen Bosco play pretty well on this point. Usually opts and falls back into the bathroom, where you can see him reinforcing now on the top left of your screen. At the same time, the Thermite, the Nomad, they looks like they want to try and get a bit of control of the point here. Adventure Force, they've been attemptedly quick and decisive on trying to get in and trying to get the diffuser, and in the chaos has sometimes found themselves in pretty good stead. However, they haven't been able to quite make the rounds land as well as they did on Bank, so this is it. Last chance saloon. Can you make it happen?
10 seconds to insertion.
I mean, I've said this before as well. I do really like the mirror setup here. Just generally playing it in the bathroom as well. I'm wondering where the second mirror will go down to the space station. They tend to be pretty creative with them.
Yeah, I think last time it was inside logistics looking towards the point, if I remember correctly. I think. I'm trying to remember back to the stuff that they did previously in the match, and also what they're changing up, because they're a team that also tries to develop what they do.
Well, sometimes you tend to see the mirror going down in cache, looking into server, and just giving you like info.
Yeah, I think it's the logistics one, based on the outline that we just saw on the far side. And they generally have the body hold. It's something that occasionally fell to quick-moving attackers previously. If they get in on logistics with... they are shooting
charges
through it. They are bringing their teamwork together, and look at SSG, all of them swarming under the hatch.
Well, they managed to get it open, and oh, they actually get a kill out of it. There we go. From the other side, Cryogen is going to pick up his opening frag of the round. Fultz goes down so early on, and this is actually looking much better for Adventure Force than it was before. That's Fultz off the table. That's impact nades as well as the castle up off the board. And Adventure Force, I'm going to see what they can do.
I like the idea of like a big Adventure Force theme song blaring when they all kind of gathered round, like a very violent gun-ho Power Rangers, where it's like, how do we defeat this, guys? I know, and then they just all open fire against the wall. In the meantime, they've gone back to trying to crack open the points, but unfortunately Nomad caught round the rotate, and thinking nade brings it back to a 4-4 balance. The calls are going off, and the shock drone is coming out as well, seeing if it can find the bandit charges it needs to. It got one, and the Capital bot unfortunately is a bit too close to Breezy, and it catches the thermite charge. They can't quite get it open. They can't quite get the wall they need, and that is both Twitch drones gone.
What are these lineups coming out from Adventure Force? Still no Habana being brought by them. Still no Thatcher being brought by them. Like, I just cannot understand a lack of a Thatcher in this situation. This is not looking good for Adventure Force all of a sudden. They've not been able to get their jacuzzi wall open. They're going to have to try and rotate their push to elsewhere. Bosco still holding down up onto the master bedroom, and see what he can do about all of this. As yeah, Adventure Force have no sledge and they have no breach charges either, so it's going to be hard for them to get open these castles. Going to have to waste a lot of time. And talking about time, we've only got 30 seconds left to go on the clock.
Yeah, and they've got to find a way into point and get this diffuser down. In the meantime, Bosco happy to just keep himself staring across the bed to KB with an amazing swing there. Finds the frag, and Cryo has really lit up, but in the 3-2 with the diffuser being planted by Breezy, they're just going to try and hold the angle. Oh no, it's all over, I'm afraid to say. Adventure Force had a fantastic run and did a lot in the first game and really brought a lot of energy and excitement to this tournament. However, SSG had a team that moved forward to the semi-finals and our first NA semi-finalist.
Yeah, big congratulations to Space Station, of course, for their great victory over Adventure Force. Unfortunately, wasn't meant to be for them for a 7-3 and 7-2. Pretty dominant series coming up from Space Station, though.
Yeah, they kind of lit up today. And from the first play day, obviously, where they went to border and struggled, I think it's fair to say, on the border play, and it came down to overtime. Today they've kind of shown up and they've said, well, no, we're going to leave our mark and we're going to give whoever we're facing next a bit of a tough time. Talking off, let's have a quick look at the bracket and see where we are sat at this moment of time. Rogue versus Sonics, who they could potentially be finding a fight against, and obviously the other two games in that play day, Luminosity versus Rise and EG versus Obey.
this is like a really interesting bracket all of a sudden, because Rogue versus Sonics. Sonics have been looking a little bit better recently, and obviously that match actually takes place after relegations as well. So, Rogue and Sonics might not even be Pro League teams after that playdate, well, when the playdate happens as well. So there's a lot to play for there for both of those teams, and, nothing else going on elsewhere. Luminosity versus Rise. Rise also might not be a Challenger League team by the time that takes place as well. So there's definitely, interesting matchups there. EG versus Obey Alliance. Again, Obey might not be a Challenger League team by the time we see that matchup indeed happen. So this bracket may have a lot of different predictions after we see the relegations match happen, but so far, it would look like that SSG could be facing either Rogue or Sonics. I think most people would say that lower bracket is going to be Luminosity versus EG, but really anything can happen. It's the best of 3.
Well, throw that in on your Strafe app and see what predictions actually come through. Rack up those points, and I'm not just saying that because they sponsor, because I really suck at getting the points in that. I have been Fluke. I have been joined by Sternab on the desk for this day. There are only a few more playdates left in the OGA Pit Minor. There's one tomorrow. That's Latin America, I believe.
Yep, it's me and Demo.
Yeah, I'm not here. I'm sending another day off, and then there's another day off, and then we're back for the final NA, the final EU, and then the final NA, I believe, in that order. And then we're all down to our semi-finals. I could be wrong about that. The way to check is to follow all of our socials as well. OGA, Rainbow Six Pit, and obviously this Twitch channel. Thank you very much for sticking with us on this NA day. We will be back very shortly. See you soon.
Predict the outcome, win the game. Get live coverage and schedules for your favorite tournaments. Analyze, predict, and vote to gain points. Compete with other esports fans and climb the leaderboards. Strafe, everything esports. Download now on iOS and Android.